This month for the Inspiration Collaboration Design Team, we are looking at Product of the Month. And I just got to start ordering that product this week for the month of January. So we're going to feature the December Product of the Month to show you how we can use it. So it was a line of 12 by 12 designer series paper called True Blue Florals. And in the month of December, with a $75 purchase, you could add this on for $5. So I'm going to show you through that, and then I'm going to show you what we have for the month of January for our product of the month. So, and if there's any of this left, you can still place a $75 order and still get the December one if there's any left in stock. So, this is the first paper, front and back. I love the blues. They are so pretty, and not everything is floral. Like this one is more leaves, and this one is more of like a design, which is really pretty. And I always love this sort of leaf. It looks like wallpaper to me. I think it's pretty. And then some more leaves. So even though it's true blue floral, it's not overly flowers. There's some very small ones in this print. More leaves. And then a floral and leaf print. Can you see that? That goes up and down. Again, this to me looks like a wallpaper. Honestly, it's just beautiful. This one is more of a more viney type of leaf and floral cluster. And then these. And then the next one would be these leaves. And then these leaves that are very prominent in the darker blue with lighter colored flowers on it. And I am going to be featuring these three prints on my layout today. And for the month of January, we have Fabulous Sayings as the product of the month. So it is stamps that say, "Happy birthday, you're on my mind, thank you, sending love, hello, you can do anything." I loved the mixed font on this one. So much, hooray, to a fabulous friend, just because there are simply no words for this. And I think the simply no words for this can be used like when you have a thinking of you card or a sympathy card. I think it can also be used when somebody does something fabulous and you just have no words, like you're just so proud of them. So I think that can be used in a couple of different types of things. So here is a sample artwork, and I just absolutely love that card. It says you can do anything on 4 different colors, and it's a repeated pattern. I just think that is absolutely adorable. So this is the January product of the month with a $75 order. You can add this on for just $5. So I was trying to decide on a sketch, and I didn't see anything that caught my eye for this particular paper line. In the new catalog, there's a couple of layouts sketches, but I did look and see this particular layout that caught my eye. And this in the catalog is on page 10. It is with the Exploring Nature Scrapbooking workshop. And so I kind of started breaking down what I thought these different prints would be. So we have this print right here. I think, I'm trying to decide. I think I will use this floral and viney print for that one. And then it's probably hard to see on camera, but there's a very light one that goes around here. And it's kind of a washed look, but I think I'm going to go with this particular print. And then there's a very dark piece that comes down here. And I think I'm going to use this up and down print because I think it lends itself well for that vertical element. So I am going to guess and approximate the sizes. And I kind of analyze this and figure out what size pictures I might put on something and then come up with what I would want. So I scrapbook mostly 4x6s. So if I assume this is 4x6 and this is 4x6, I kind of look at the matting and proportionally, and I'm guessing this piece to be about 8.5 by 12, 8.5 by, I don't know, it looks like they probably went past center, so I'm going to put 7, but I might overlap some papers. And then these I think are like 3x3 squares, and they're matted, so 3.5, 3 times for those squares. So I'm guessing I need to do this one a little bit wider. I think I'm going to do this about 11. I might even be able to go 10. We'll probably cut it 11 and then we can cut it down if we need to. So maybe 11 by 4 and I might cut it down, but I want to make sure I have plenty of room. And then there's a piece of paper that's here and here, and then a little bit over here, and it's a contrasting color. So I probably will pick out maybe even some cardstock for that one. And it's bigger than these 3x4 photos, so taller than 4 inches, smaller than the 6. So I'm going to go 10.5 by 5 and then 1 by 5 over here. Those are just my best guesses. We will see how this works as I lay it out, and then we might make some adjustments as we go. This one I'm going to cut at 8.5 by 12. My approximation was about 1 3/4 by 12 for this other side. So it needs, I think I'm going to start with a huge piece that goes all the way up to 10.5. Can you see that's how far this comes up? And then I'm going to I'm going to leave my 1 3/4 at the bottom. I'm going to come down 7 inches. And then I'm going to turn it this way. 7 inches should be right about there. I'm going to cut that. And for the second page, I'm going to flip this to make those fit together. And then this one, I wanted 11 by 4. Now when I do this, I like my patterns to end a certain way. And I'm going to want enough of that horizontal patterns showing. So I'm going to cut that a little bit long. And then see about trimming some of that excess blue off right there. And you know what? This actually will be perfect because there was a 1/4 inch. Is that a whole 1/4 inch? Oh, it's not quite. That's fine. There is a 1/4 inch that goes across the top. But this, we said we're going to do it at 11 inches. We may trim this down to be even shorter. And it will get dovetailed if I follow my sketch. Then we had a 1/4 inch of those blues. So let's see if I can get it out of this. If I can get it out of this, I don't necessarily have to cut into a whole sheet of just blue cardstock. Oh yeah, I think I can come very close to a 1/4 inch right there. Look at that, perfect. And then we'll do the same thing at this next plain blue strip. And this saved me from cutting into a whole sheet of cardstock. And this one does not need to be the same length. It's going to be like that 7 inches because that's when we run into all of the other decorative elements off to the side. Okay, so I went and tried to pick out some pictures. I'm probably going to have to print a few more. But I decided I would pick my contrasting matte color based on some of those pictures. And it seems that a lot of them have like a deep burgundy, a red, some more reds, and deep reds. So I think I'm going to go with cherry cobbler to use as my accent. And I need to cut this. I probably could do it in some smaller sections, but I'm just going to go 10.5 by 5. And then when I cut this to 5 inches and then the 10.5, it leaves me 1.5 inches left over that I can just tuck underneath that banner element. So I am looking at that catalog and using this as my reference as to what I'm going to do for laying these pictures out and all of these. I did go ahead and cut some mats, and this mat looked like it was extra long. So 3.5 by 4.5. This might need to be reprinted some. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that picture, or I might use a different one. So this one was 1 3/4 by 12. Do I know if it's the exact measurement? Absolutely not. This is Katie's best guess. And we'll see how close we actually look like the layout once we have finished this. I really like these blue papers, these true blue papers. And honestly, a lot of the prints remind me of like a paper pack that you could coordinate and mix in with some other paper packs if they had the same types of colors. For instance, I think you could mix some of them in with this exploring nature. But I think all of the blues, you could possibly make those work together quite nicely. So we are enjoying a rather warm day in Northwest Ohio. A couple warm days, actually. We had a very foggy afternoon and evening one day, but we are not accustomed to January temperatures being near 50 at all. But I'm sure we will have paybacks for this at some point. Okay, and this is the one that I just cut out the chunk and flipped it. It's a great paper saver if you can do that. I like things that are like the, what would you call it? One sheet wonder. So like each of these individual pages are basically mostly a one sheet wonder for the background, where you're able to use the reverse side to do your basic background and layout. And then you could always just use coordinating cardstock for all of the accent pieces that go with it. So I have pictures of my granddaughters Some are helping me make frosting for cookies from Christmas. And then I have all of them eating some cake pops at one point or another around the holidays. And so I thought I would kind of feature those. Okay, now I need to decide how long I want this. I know this is longer than the one on the sketch, but I think I like it. Theirs might have been closer to 10.5, but I think by making it longer, I think I can make it more obvious that I have a dovetail. So these longer ones are a little bit harder to find the center. I can usually eyeball a center, but let's just kind of fold it in half and give it a little pinch. I think that'll help me find the center a little bit better since it's so long. Yeah, that helps me. So I'm going to make it a fairly shallow dovetail. Do you notice when I concentrate, I can't talk? And then I'm going to come to this end and do the same thing. And I like that. Let's see how that looks here. And then let's see what it looks like with 3 of these photo mats going all the way down. The other thing I can do is make these photo mats a little bit smaller. If I want to put less of a border around them. Let's see what they look like if we go 3 1/4. I actually like that a little bit better. It shows the dovetail. It's a little bit more pronounced. So I do like that. And this just slightly overlapped. Let's see here. We're going to center this between the top and bottom of this. So between 10 1/4 and 2 1/4. Middle would be 6 inches, right? So I'm going to say about 8 1/4. This is up about 3 1/4 from the bottom. So then this one, I want to come up about 3 1/4 inches. From the bottom of the layout. Got those in place. We can go ahead and put this one down. I think this one was maybe even popped up. So I'm going to pop it up. I'm not putting anything too close to the edge because we're going to need to tuck in some pictures. We can always go back and add more dots in these corners or like that. This one hung a little bit below that line. Okay, I have quite a few things going on here. I've added all of these pictures down, and I have a bowl that I've cut out. It was just the circle punch, and I just did it against the edge of the paper, like right there. So it cut like that. And then I've die cut and stamped spoons from Latte Love. And then when I opened my stamp set from Just the Note, I already had this die cut and stamp pre-done, and it already had blue ink. So I figured that was perfect, and it was all ready for me. So I do want to do a special treatment though, I think, to this bowl. So I have a silver bowl here, and I could pull out silver paper, but I want to show you something that I did some time ago with one of my sparkly pins from Close to My Heart. And you could do the same thing with Wink of Stella. So I opened up the barrel, and I added some drops of a gray re-inker, and that gray ended up making this look almost silver because we had a gold shimmer pen but not a silver, and I wanted silver. So I've got this, and I'm going to spread this on here. I don't know that it's going to come out all that silver, but it is going to add glitter and maybe just the tinge of some silver. If I add it on the white, that's when you definitely see silver. Can you pick up some of that? And I think when it catches the light, it gives it a little bit of that metallic sparkly look. So I'm going to let that dry, and although I don't know if you see enough silver there, I wanted you to know that tip, and you can do that with Wink of Stella also. So for my title, I want it to say life is short, and then I want to have some little sayings that says lick the bowl and eat dessert first and things like that. Next, I brought in an old punch and started punching up a bunch of scraps that were blue. Now I'm bringing in my Happy Place stamp set and cherry cobbler ink, and I'm going to stamp life on this little piece of notebook paper. So when I reference this layout in the catalog, I see there's like title, a cluster here, and then something up here with a little bit of stuff there. So I think I'm going to do kind of the same thing, only my title is going to be here. So you saw I stamped this, and I'm going to come in with, I don't have the cherry cobbler marker. I think I'm going to try the real red, which there's different shades of red and a darker burgundy in their things. So I think this will be good. And I think I want it to say life is short. I'm going to mimic that scripty font or something similar. I like mixed fonts, so we just did plain printing in between. And I'll do some ellipses down there. And then the other thing I want to do is add some banners here. These were banners from the party banners that I had already cut out before. So I had taught a card class, had some left over. This seems like the perfect time to pull them out. They match pretty nicely. So wedge that in there. And then I'm going to put this bowl, and I have a couple spoons. I think I want to pop this up with some dimensionals. I had put that shimmer brush on top. they had a metal bowl, which I could do that, but I'm trying to use up some of these scraps, and I kind of like the difference. I like the sparkle from the shimmer. And I kind of want to tie all of this together with some of those little pieces that I punched out from all the scraps. I'm going to try to lay out something sort of viney, and then I'm going to add some more things. So life is short. This one I'm going to say lick the bowl. And then I'm going to go back and give them accented dots, kind of like this word is, at the beginning and end of each stroke. And I think we're ready to start gluing some things down. So this month in the US, for every $50 you spend from January 6th to February 2nd, you get $5 coupon to be used during the remainder of February. So from the 3rd to the 28th. So for every $50 you spend, you get a $5 coupon. The code for the coupon will be sent to your email. I just flagged those emails so I can find them easily when we get to February. And of course, you're still getting your 10% product rewards, Stampin' rewards added to your account. And then on top of that, you can, for $75 worth of product, you can add on the product of the month. If this paper pack is still in stock, you can add that. Or there is a new stamp set, the one that I showed you at the beginning of the video, that you could add on to your order for just $5. These are great deals. I love stacking them. And if you're a demonstrator, you can also take your commission. So it's like savings upon savings upon savings. I just love it. So now I'm going to go around and add all of the other clusters and elements. So I'm going to start with those party banner dies, and I also have some elements that were die cut from the Spotlight on Nature. Those are the cute little circles that you see. In order to stretch this one a little further, I'm just going to cut it in half because I only have one that is die cut in that cherry cobbler in my scrap bucket. So I'm going to assemble these. I will add some of those little leaf vines and some of those little floral sprigs as well to each of the clusters. And I will just maybe even add some things with some dimension, and then I will be writing my sentiment on one of the clusters as well. I don't know if you noticed, but in some of the clusters, in order to make the leaves appear to be a vine, I just made sure that I was occasionally overlapping some of them. And then if I was just clustering them, then all I did was just make sure they kind of all came together so it appeared as if they were coming out of a central location, like they were growing out of one thing. So that's how I decided to do my vines and clustering. And right here on this little banner that sticks out to the right, that's where I will write eat dessert first. And I made sure I added the dots to the end of each stroke so that that print matched the ones in the title and the other subtitle where it was printed. And I eventually will finish up this last little cluster. I I kind of made that circle appear as if it started at the bottom and then it extended to the top. So I kind of liked how those two almost lined up. Okay, I've brought in two different things. One is from my stash and one is something that's just released. So these are the Cherry Cobbler Pearl Adhesive-backed berries. And we had these last year. They were extremely popular. And I think those dark berries and the kind of opaque, it's not quite white, not quite pearl, but yet not quite clear. It's a little more cloudy than that. These dots are adorable. So I'm going to be putting some of these on there, but we also have this new set that is currently already out of stock. It just released this week and it's already out of stock. Ladybug Garden Epoxy Shapes. I'm sure they will be getting these back in. And if you are a card maker, you will probably especially like these even more than these because these are more low profile. They do not stick up as much as these, but these definitely are more bumpy if you're sending things in the mail. So you might have to stock up on these, and especially if you love bugs. So if you're coming to my crop January 31st, you're getting a half a pack of these, and I did get them ordered before they ran out of stock. Great news, right? I'm thinking this might be perfect to exaggerate those ellipses, like life is short, ... Lick the bowl, eat dessert first, all the things, right? Let's accentuate the end of that exclamation point every time. I used up that sheet. Yay. Always feels good to finish up a pack of something, doesn't it? It's when you know you got your money's worth. I think I will leave it there for now. So there we go. This is the True Blue Floral Paper Pack that was the product of the month for December, and for January it's the new sentiment stamp. Make sure you check out all the other girls on the playlist from the Inspiration Collaboration playlist. Like, comment, share, and subscribe for more crafty inspiration.